Hello, abundant souls. Before we get into this week's episode, I just want to give a special announcement. And that is my signature self-development and manifestation program, Abundant Soul Academy. The waitlist is officially open. Now, if you don't know what ASA is, it is literally the program that is 14 weeks and it takes my life's work and it breaks it down in a digestible way that's ready to be devoured by the ambitious woman like you who's ready to live as a more enhanced version of herself and is ready to manifest her dream life. Okay? Because Abundant Soul Academy truly bridges the gap of where you are to where you want to go, the gap between who you think you are and who you truly are, and the gap between doubting yourself and just being stagnant in life to full-blown manifestation queen. Okay? So this is truly for the woman who feels and knows she's ready for massive success and deep down knows she's meant for more. Okay. And inside ASA, I'm taking out all the fluff, the confusion, the vague buzzwords and spiritual jargon and the processes that you're just like, what the heck does that even mean? And instead provide you with a no nonsense, digestible blueprint via my signature framework, faith, belief, and certainty that enables you to rewire the deepest parts of your subconscious mind, release all that isn't setting you up for the future, and make manifestation an easy, automatic process that you can use for life in an effortless, aligned way. Because I spent years trying to figure out how to manifest your dream life through Googling how to manifest. And I just quickly realized, guys, that this information, if it was the be all end all, a lot more people would be living out their dream life, right? So this information doesn't take into account through Google, it doesn't take into account the deep-rooted unconscious patterns that we all hold. And that is what truly prevents us from stepping into the version of us who's naturally just going to manifest your dreams. So most is going to tell you, just think positive, create a vision board and never feel bad about anything. But that's just unattainable, unfair, and it's just not really how manifestation actually works. Okay. So I want you to take this from me because I've been the guinea pig for 5 years and truly I've cracked the code through my framework that allows you to make manifestation a way of life for life. And inside Abundant Soul Academy, this is what I'm teaching you exactly how to do. So if you are ready to stop just being confused and stopping going towards your dream life and just want to master manifestation and live your life by design, ASA was created for you and designed for you. And again, it's going to show you that exact blueprint to start living your best life. So check out the show notes because the Abundant Soul Academy waitlist link will be inside there. And with that being said, let's dive into this week's episode. You're listening to the Abundance Attitude Podcast, where you will cultivate the mental attitude that unleashes the abundance already inside you. I'm your host, Leah Pearson, manifestation expert and personal development obsessed, and your spiritual mentor. Think of this podcast as your daily dose of personal development, mindset, and the place to develop the faith, belief, and certainty in yourself and manifesting your desires. If you're ready to not just learn manifestation, but master it and live a life of abundance, you're in the right place. With that being said, let's dive into this week's episode. Hello, Abundant Souls, and welcome back to another episode of the Abundance Attitude Podcast. As you know, I'm your host, Leah, from theabundanceattitude.com. How is everyone feeling this week? I am feeling lit up and in a very creative state, so I decided to hop on the mic and record a very special episode for you guys because I know when I started my manifestation journey and just spiritual journey, personal development journey, all of the above, I had a super, super big question, and that is, why do I have so many negative thoughts, or why are there negative thoughts in general? And just, are they going to manifest? Are they going to mess up my journey? Are they going to mess up my manifestations? And all of that kind of buzz talk in my head regarding negative thoughts, okay? Because if you have ever, looked up how to manifest or just gone through a rabbit hole on Google, a lot of times they do say, be positive, raise your vibration. And that alludes us to thinking that we can never be negative, we can never feel negative emotions, and we can never have negative thoughts. And honestly, that is going to set you up for failure if you've been approaching changing your life, manifesting your dream life, manifesting a certain result. It's going to set you up for failure because it is impossible, guys, to never have a negative thought or feel a negative emotion, okay? Because my approach to manifestation, and something that I go deep into in Abundant Soul Academy with my students, is that we are experiencing a human experience, right? So manifestation doesn't take away our humanness and what we came here to feel and experience, which is all of the emotions and all of the lessons that are in those negative situations or thoughts or emotions. And so in order to manifest your dream life, we don't have to get rid of them, okay? And so with that, I wanted to create this episode on kind of discussing why you have negative thoughts in general and how it all ties into how you manifest and if it's going to mess up and all of those things. So kind of demystifying that and explaining why you have negative thoughts, okay? So if that seems like something you're like, I want to know where these negative thoughts come from and what I can do to shift out of them, and are they going to mess up my manifestations, this episode's for you, okay? So with that being said, in this episode, it's going to be two different explanations, okay? I'm going to give a biological kind of evolution reasoning as to why we have negative thoughts, and then kind of more of a practical, psychological, spiritual manifestation aspect of why we have negative thoughts, okay? So the first thing is the biological evolution of a human, all right? So we basically evolved, our society evolved way faster than our brains, okay? Because our brains are from thousands upon thousands upon thousands of years of evolution, okay? And so our instant gratification, easy way of living progressed more than the evolution of our brains, right? And think of it like this. Way back in the caveman days, or when we were just, living outside and we didn't have, a nice house and with heat and with a fridge with food to just, survive, we had to survive on our own. And part of that survival, guys, was knowing the threats that are around us. So to better understand what I mean by this is, let's pretend it is 15,000 years ago. And there are two women, one named Sally and one named Jane. Sally is someone who really liked to take strolls through the park. She liked to stop and smell the flowers. She was very, low key, just really liked to take her time. And like I said, just a stroll through the park type of attitude, okay? She was very chill. She's very just like whatever happens, and just go with the flow. But then there's Jane, who is someone who's living in fight or flight all the time, really stressed out, looking behind every rock and bush to make sure there's not a threat that is going to take her life. All right. So if you have these two types of attitudes or energies, or just ways of being 15,000 years ago, okay, so let's say there is an actual threat behind the bush and there's a man-eating tiger. And someone that is stopping to smell the flowers might take a millisecond less to detect the tiger, right? Whereas Jane is living in fight or flight, and she detects the tiger before Sally. And therefore, guys, Sally gets eaten by the tiger. Jane goes on to produce children, and her legacy and lineage carries on. So this type of way of being and thinking, whether you're going to stop and smell the flowers or you're going to live in fight or flight and be stressed out, detecting threats, evolutionary, guys, our systems and cells and just our way of being carried through DNA was obviously like, okay, when I am able to live in stress and fight or flight, and I'm able to detect the tiger, and therefore I'm able to reproduce. So it's literally survival of the fittest. And so over time, our brains evolved to constantly perceive threats, to make it easy to live in fight or flight and just to be stressed out. And that is because it was a survival mechanism. So jump to today's society where we don't have to perceive threats behind a bush, more than likely. Okay, there's not man-eating tigers. Our brains are still living in that. So when we say, okay, I want to start manifesting my dream life, what does that entail? Okay, I want to make $100,000 a year. That's one aspect of my dream life. Okay, so if you have never gone to make $100,000, you're going to have to do things that you haven't done before. And those things that you haven't done before, your brain is literally like, holy shit, put it on the signals. We need to analyze this if this is a threat. And so that's why you hear those thoughts of like, who are you to do this? I can't do this. It's going to be really hard. You're going to have to sacrifice your family time. You're going to have to stay up really late. People are going to judge you. You're going to feel greedy, all this, that, and the other. You start seeing how it's not going to work out and you get super fearful. And then that stops us in our tracks from actually taking the action and gaining the traction that we need to move the needle forward towards that $100,000. It's because your brain wants to act like Jane instead of Sally. And so a lot of times, just think about it, guys, how we are, a society as a whole lives in fight or flight, right? And this is really, honestly, I could go into how this is going to create diseases down the road and how this actually decreases your electromagnetic field because it takes more energy to produce fight or flight responses chemically in our body than it is to just be like zenned out all the time. So I'm also not saying that you have to be zenned out all the time, that positive poly cheerleader that we hear so often in manifestation. Yes, we're going to have times of feeling that stress, feeling that, fear, but it's about overcoming those things and recognizing those things and bringing self-awareness. And so because we are detecting the threats, our brain automatically produces all of these negative thoughts so you don't get eaten by the tiger. And so having these negative thoughts isn't just because there's something wrong with you or that your brain just doesn't want to be happy or whatever. It's just because over evolution, over time, we've evolved to just automatically think that way. And so knowing this, when I discovered this, I was like, wow, like I don't have to judge myself for having negative thoughts. I'm just trying to protect myself. So it's almost like we can start bringing back a lot of like self-love within ourselves when we catch those negative thoughts because we're like, oh, like brain, thank you. You're protecting me. And we don't have to make them mean anything, right? Because a thought is just a thought, guys. It doesn't have to be negative and it doesn't have to be positive. We give the meaning of things. Everything is just neutral. We give the meaning. So when you have those thoughts and you start judging yourself, just take a step back and really take yourself out of the equation and just say, oh, my body and brain and energy, everything's just trying to protect me, but I don't have to make it real. Okay. It was just a thought I had. And now I get to overcome that because I know that there's not actually a tiger preventing me from taking that action, preventing me from manifesting what I actually want to manifest. So just know that our brains just have this like evolved doom meter within it that is going to propose negative thoughts because poor Sally liked to smell the flowers and got eaten by the tiger while Jane was surviving. Okay, so that is really the biological evolutionary standpoint of why we have so many negative thoughts. Now, the other component of why we have so many thoughts is this is a very personal development, practical, spiritual, psychological way of looking at it, and it's literally just a habit. So the second reason why we have so many negative thoughts, guys, is literally just a habit. Now you're like, okay, so one, it's kind of a habit because of that evolution that we just talked about, but it's also a habit because I'm going to take you through kind of like a process of how our thoughts and ideas turn into physical reality, okay? So as you know, everything is energy, right? So even there's undefined energy, guys, flowing all of around us, okay? It's spirit, energy, whatever you want to call it. And we are a conduit for that energy or spirit that flows through us because energy always wants to turn into something more. And so we're the vessels for that. So what happens is energy or spirit flows to and through us. And so our conscious minds are what interprets that energy first. So the power is a power and it's flowing into our conscious mind. And that is how we build a thought or an idea. So as you are hearing my words right now, as I'm producing these words right now, energy, power, spirit is flowing into our minds and we're turning it into the things that we're perceiving, right? And we build an idea or a thought off of that. Now, based on our subconscious program or our self-image, that is what we generally are going to turn that power into. So if your subconscious program is kind of set to always be negative or just have negative ideas, when that energy flows into our minds, we're going to turn it into something negative, or just saying stuff like, that's why you say I can't. Who am I to do that? I'm not good enough. What are people going to think of me? All of those kind of things that you hear, it's just because your energy is being turned into those things based off our self-image or our subconscious program, because it's dictating 95% of our life. So if we have an idea of, I want to make that $100,000 a year, but we are somebody who our self-image is in congruence with someone that makes $50,000 a year, when we have that thought of $100,000, that energy is going to hit our subconscious mind. That's like, our set program right now is $50,000. Whoa, that's a threat to make $100,000. I need to start producing these negative thoughts so I can direct her away from the $100,000, because I don't know if we're going to survive. And so because your self-image and program is just set to this, it's a habit to produce those negative thoughts. And so this is why, truly, guys, mindset is 95% success and strategy is only 5%. Because if you can create the mindset or the subconscious program and the self-image to naturally be congruent with the $100,000 or, whatever you want, you're going to be naturally thinking and being and saying and acting and taking action towards $100,000 naturally, because those thoughts are going to guide you, right? Your power, that power flowing into our conscious mind is going to turn into thoughts and ideas that resonate with the $100,000, which is going to become a feeling. And once it becomes a feeling, it becomes subconscious. And that's what puts our body into an actual vibration. And so you're naturally guided and led and drawn to, almost compelled towards the things and the people and the situations you need to actually experience what you desire in the physical world. And this process is ongoing all the time. And this is why you're naturally led and guided to the life that you have now, right? You're not necessarily creating these affirmations and vision boards and forcing yourself to be positive in order to manifest what you've manifested up to this point. It's just kind of unfolded, right? And it's because this is the process that's happening. It's you perceive the energy with your conscious mind, you build an idea, you become emotionally evolved, it becomes subconscious, which causes feelings, and that's what makes us into a vibration, and that vibration is what dictates our actions, right? And so you're not necessarily, again, there's not something wrong with your brain or anything. It's just your self-image and subconscious have a habit of thinking negative thoughts. And again, it's based some off that evolution, but then it's just based off a habit of how you've been perceiving the world, what's your attitude towards life, what's your attitude towards yourself, and then it just constantly creates similar thoughts and ideas based off that energy flowing through you. So again, it's and this is how we self-sabotage, right? You're not setting out to purposely self-sabotage. If you're someone that's been like, "Oh my gosh, I literally try so hard to change my life or create this result in my life or just, again, experience the manifestations we want to." You're not purposely self-sabotaging yourself. There's nothing wrong with you. It's literally a habit, and we get to mold our self-conscious and self-identity and self-image to align with what we actually want to create. It's just most people don't know how to do that. And people also don't give it enough time to shift. But I want you to think of your self-image, guys, and your subconscious program. It's like a noodle. It's very flexible. It can be changed at any moment. And again, when you align that with the desire that you want, you're going to naturally have the thoughts that are going to be aligned to create the feelings that are going to be aligned to then create the actions that are going to be aligned towards your desire. And this is what I teach you how to do in Abundant Soul Academy. This is why you don't need all that hoopla. You don't have to create a vision board. You can if you want to support you, but because you create a vision board, that's not going to make or break you creating your life by design. What makes or break you is truly changing this self-image and your subconscious program to align so you can become someone who's naturally going to experience what you want to experience, right? I talked about this in a podcast a couple weeks ago, maybe last week, I forget now. But it's just making it so it's your new normal, right? You're not making it like on a pedestal. You're just like, oh, the $100,000 is just my normal. So then because it's your normal and you don't feel like you don't have all that weird knee-jerk reactions when you say like, I am someone who makes $100,000 or I am someone who one is X, Y, and Z, right? Just add in your desire there. If you don't feel those knee-jerk reactions, it's just your new normal. And this is what my framework, really does, is it enables you to learn true manifestation at the energetic level, at the molecular level, understanding the psychology behind your self-image and subconscious mind and how that is dictating our manifestations, and then enable you to create new belief systems to align with the self-image that you need to just become that person naturally, guys. Because manifestation, we don't manifest what we want. We manifest what we are. And that's why I want to, and that's why I created the framework, faith, belief, and certainty, to make it normal. So you don't have to always worry about, am I manifesting right? Is this negative thought going to manifest or whatever? You can just become and then experience the result in life that you want. Because I know it was so exhausting for me to just always think like, did I say my affirmations right? Was I positive enough today? Do I want it bad enough? Did I focus on it enough? Like, instead of focusing on those things that just made manifestation and changing my life more stressful, I would just get to focus on who am I being moment to moment and draw all that energy and focus towards that. And over time, I change into someone who does have a successful business, who is doing what she loves, who does have clients, and who has this podcast or whatever you want to call it and say. I've had to become that person in order to produce the results that I've produced. And so when you have these negative thoughts, please don't think that there's something wrong with you. It's just because of evolution, and your self-image might just be used to creating negative thoughts. Now, I did mention that I wanted to explain about, if you have a negative thought or if you have a negative feeling, is that going to automatically mess up your manifestation work? And the answer is no, and the reason is because 95% of what we're manifesting, guys, is based off our subconscious mind and that self-identity or that self-image. So that is like the be-all, end-all to manifest your dream life, is truly changing that self-image. So if you have one negative thought, as long as you're not dwelling on it, as long as you're not focusing on it, as long as you're able to recognize, and process it and just move on, it's not going to manifest, because what you manifest is what your dominant vibration is, what you dominantly focus on. And a lot of that comes from, again, that subconscious mind. So if you can implant and impress on your subconscious mind a positive outlook on life to where you're just naturally a positive person, yes, when you have one negative thought, it's probably not going to be a detriment, because, again, you're not someone who is that way. You just had a negative thought, like all humans are going to have from time to time. So it's kind of like this dance, right? You have to kind of figure out where you are. What is my attitude towards life? Do I have a habit of thinking negative or being a pessimist or always fearing the worst, right? Do I have that habit? And how can I begin to shift into a different set of habits of recognizing when I have those negative thoughts and kind of just being like, wow, thank you for protecting me. Thank you, brain, for protecting me. Thank you, ego. But you know what? I'm not going to give in to that thought anymore, because I don't have to believe that thought, and I'm not my thoughts. I'm, my higher self. I'm an abundant soul who can create whatever she wants, and I'm just moving on from that negative thought. And so again, I really teach you guys how to align that self-image and create a raised set point, if you will, in your subconscious mind. So you're someone who's naturally going to have the outlook and energy and way of being for someone that is going to naturally manifest what you want. So I help you really shift into that person. And that's why I help you manifest for life, because identity is going to give you long-term results instead of short-term results of just, hey, I'm going to create a vision board. Oh my gosh, I got that text from a specific person. Oh my gosh, I got 200 extra more dollars. I manifested that, which are amazing manifestations, but I'm here to help you manifest your dream life. And that's going to be a bit deeper and going beyond just saying affirmations, doing all the woo-woo stuff like burning sage and playing with cards and creating a vision board. I love all those things and I do all those things, but they're there for support. They're not going to make or break you. Like, people have manifested millions of dollars without making a vision board, guys. So it's who they've become and able to do that and essentially overcome those negative thoughts that they, whether they're an unconscious person who just did that naturally, or they've done a lot of inner work and self-development to know that those negative thoughts are just our brains trying to protect us from an evolutionary standpoint, and just knowing, hey, it's a habit because, I'm used to potentially kind of being a negative Nancy, and I need to create the mindset that is going to enable me to move the needle forward naturally and just not give in or dwell to those negative thoughts, okay? So again, you're not broken. There's nothing wrong with you. It just could be your self-image needs some TLC, or you just need to recognize that, hey, my brain's just trying to protect me, and you actually get to give yourself love because of that. Okay. And, this is something to really look at because, again, your self-image, guys, if you change that, your self-image is how your subconscious mind views you. And it's just, you've created that self-image based off past successes, failures, experiences, how people reacted to you, the stories that your parents told you growing up, the stories that you've told yourself, just your whole life is compiled into this self-image, and you just naturally validate that self-image within your life. So just look at your life now, and that's going to really show you the type of person that you maybe not consciously think you are, but subconsciously that's what you believe about yourself. And it's not something to judge, it's something to get excited about, because again, the self-image and subconscious program is just like a noodle, and we get to mold it into and change it however we want. And it's super exciting. That's why I'm obsessed with this stuff, because it's like, holy crap, guys, like anyone can create any life they want once they kind of know this information and know how to release that shit that isn't serving them and implant stuff that's going to set them up for the future that they want to see. You don't have to stay on this track record of living a life that you don't actually love and it's not lighting you up, and you're not getting to experience the things that you actually want to experience, okay? Because I know that is what took me from, wanting to change my life and being interested to full on committed, because I was like, I can't spend 30 years at a 9-to-5 I don't like. I can't spend the rest of my life not being able to do what I want. And that is just really what drew the line in the sand for me. And I kind of just went balls to the walls and just studied the shit out of this stuff and studied myself more so. I learned about who I was and what I needed to shift and created discipline around that. And then hence came the faith, belief, and certainty framework, when I was like, I know exactly what to do to create the results that I want. And now I'm here to give them to you. And so again, don't judge yourself for these negative thoughts, guys. They're not automatically going to manifest. There's nothing wrong with you. Our brains just try to protect us. Our self-image is just like, whoa, this is not what we do. And all we have to do is just recognize these thoughts are protecting me. I'm not my thoughts, and my self-image gets to be changed. Okay, so, and you only manifest the thoughts that you focus on. So when you have those thoughts, just give it love and just, move on. Just make it a practice, okay? It's going to take practice and discipline, but I promise you it's so worth it, okay? So with that being said, I'm going to wrap this up. So just know it's biological evolution, and sometimes it's a habit as to why we're having these negative thoughts. And again, we get to recognize and change that. So if this episode gave you any breakthroughs or aha moments, or you just really resonated with and it helped you, I'd love if you would take a screenshot of this, share it on your Instagram, tag me, or just message me on Instagram to let me know, because again, I always love to know what episodes are helping you guys, okay? And a quick reminder, if you want to take this type of information to the next level and really mold that self-image and subconscious program to the type of person you want to become to live the type of life you want to live, go to the show notes, join the ASA waitlist, and you're going to be the first to know when we open for early access, early bird bonuses, all of that good stuff coming your way. Go ahead and join that waitlist below. I can't wait to see you inside ASA on the waitlist. Or anywhere else we hang out. And with that being said, I'm wishing you all the abundance. Bye. Thanks for listening to the Abundance Attitude podcast. Let me know if you liked this week's episode by leaving a review or message me on Instagram. If you aren't following me, you can find me at the Abundance Attitude. To tune in each week, you can hit subscribe, and until next week's episode, I am wishing you all the abundance.